in, everybody. Bonus edition. Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Torres. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great day. Doing something a little bit different today. So if you listen to the Aaron Torres pod, on Sunday, we went ahead and did full reaction to both the NFL and college hoops. We got bonus NFL content if you listen on the pod. And we basically just covered everything. We covered the two football games on the pod. YouTube, we did a lot of college basketball, talking about Houston and Auburn surviving, Kentucky losing to Vandy, Dan Hurley, the villain, on and on and on and on and on. Well, I bring it up. We did not do a Monday afternoon show, but we do have some bonus content for you here on a Monday night, and that is because Torres doesn't do a lot of guests, but when the coach of the number one team in America wants to join the pod, you say yes. So in just a few minutes, Bruce Pearl, our old buddy, we've had him on a few times, he joins the Aaron Torres pod. And listen, we have Coach Pearl on about once a year. Love talking with him. The window was a little small today. There were some technical issues, not his fault, not my fault, just life. It happens, whatever. So we only got about 12, 13 minutes with him, but it was awesome. It was fun. It was good to catch up with him. And we talked about an awful lot. We talked about the Tennessee game the other night. We talked big picture about him, his career, his team, why this Auburn team is so different than anyone that he's ever had before. And then, oh, by the way, we talked a little bit about Johni Broome. I believe Johni Broome is the National Player of the Year. I don't want to put words in Coach Pearl's mouth, but he says just the same. So we have a lot to get to with Bruce Pearl. In just 1 minute, we will do that. By the way, if you are listening on podcast, we will throw in a segment on the Tuesday night Kentucky-Tennessee game, top 15 matchup, at what they used to call Thompson Bowling Arena. Now I believe there's some sort of corporate partnership, whatever. It's in Knoxville. It's going to be crazy, and we are going to go ahead and get to that in just one moment. Before we do, though, a couple quick reminders. One, make sure that you are subscribed to the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. New clips, new videos going up every single day. As I always say, we're closing in on 50,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So if you are not subscribed, make sure to do so. Hopefully some Auburn fans find this clip. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. That is my request number one. My request number two, I got to tell you a little bit about our partners, our friends. I got to talk about Cauli Puffs and CauliPuffs.com. Okay, so I've told you quite a bit about Cauli Puffs, okay? So it's the new year. You're trying to be healthy. If you're watching on YouTube, Torres may have put on a few pounds since 2024 turned into 2025. I'm starting over. I'm starting fresh. And as you start fresh, this is what you need. You need to find snack food that is healthy but delicious. My friends, that's where Cauli Puffs comes in. I've told you the story before. Family-owned company, not far from where I live. Joey, the founder, is a huge football fan. By the way, he texted me on, I guess it would have been Monday morning, about my Bills take that Sean McDermott needs to be fired. So he loves football. And basically, his story and Cauli Puff's story is pretty simple. Family-owned company. He's a football fan on the couch watching games, wanted a healthy and delicious snack, wanted something healthy and delicious for his family, and that's where Cauli Puffs comes in. Baked, not fried, avocado oil, no grease, healthy ingredients, but the best part is, people, they taste freaking delicious, okay? So at this point, you don't need to take my word for it. What you need to do is go try them out for yourselves. Visit CauliPuffs.com. That's CauliPuffs.com, CauliPuffs.com. You can also find them on Amazon. So you're on Amazon, you're buying whatever. I don't want to know what's in your cart. It's none of my business. I'm staying out of it. But throw some Cauli Puffs in. Try them. Trust me, you'll like them. Thank you to Cauli Puffs. We appreciate their support of the Aaron Torres Pod. With that said, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will welcome in Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl. All right, joining me via Zoom, he is the head coach, number one team in the country, of course, coming off that wild win Saturday night against Tennessee. Coach Pearl, we do this a couple times a year, but I'm guessing hearing number one team in the country off a top 10 home win never gets old, huh?
Well, Aaron, great to be with you, and thanks for the really good job that you do. As you know, I've been a bit of a fan just because I think you are fair and accurate, and I learned things when I follow you and some of your analytics and things along those lines. The league's amazing, so I don't feel great because I got LSU on Wednesday at LSU, and I got Ole Miss on Saturday, and then next week we got Oklahoma and Florida, and so that it's never ending. I'm really proud of my team for the way they battled. through, we didn't shoot it well. Tennessee had a lot to do with it. We found a way, which is just amazing. Historically, analytically, it was the best home court win we've had in the history of Auburn basketball. We beat the 6th-ranked team in the country. And the last thing I'll say, Aaron, is, boy, Tennessee plays the right way. That team did not take a possession off. They battled, I think, much like we did. And I think both teams were exhausted at the end of that game.
There's so many big picture things I want to get with you on, but let's just stay on that game for half a second, because I heard you say after the game, you knew your team could win when they score 90 or 80 and hold the opponent to 50 or 60. And I think you said, not verbatim, but essentially, I wasn't sure if we could win if we were held into the 50s. So, what is it? I mean, you've played all these great teams, but what does it tell you? Number one defensive team in the country in Tennessee, and you were basically able to win the way that they wanted to play in Neville Arena the other night.
Yeah, I mean, they turned us over a little bit and scored some off of our turnovers, which they're capable of doing. We obviously were a little rushed in some of our shot selection, the execution, some of their ball pressure, different things, bothered us at times. Give them all the credit, but we got stuff that we got to get better at and improve. I do think we can win in the 50s, and I did. I thought we could win at their pace, because I knew our guys would guard also. But I just think, honestly, it's the teams that can embrace the grind and be excited about playing every night. And so far, Aaron, our guys have prepared every game so far. I mean, they really have done a great job. And I don't know whether it's the mental makeup of this team or the collection of guys that we have that are, I guess, humble and hungry. I don't see us having a letdown. We're going to lose because somebody's going to beat us. I just don't see us beating ourselves.
And I was going to actually ask you that is one thing I've noticed as well. There's no off nights in this league, as you said, and every night you see a highly ranked team go to a quote unquote lower ranked team and lose. You guys haven't had that moment yet. What is it? Because you got veteran guys. I mean, is that something you can recruit to? Is it the veteran guys teaching the younger guys? I know you have maybe the oldest roster in the country. What do you think it is that you guys are, through 66% of your schedule, and you really haven't had a really, really bad night yet this season?
Well, I think that first of all, defense and rebounding travel, and that's number one. Number two is you got to respect your opponent. Like, LSU is a quad one opportunity for us. You know how many quad one wins we had last year? We couldn't get a quad one win last year because Indiana or USC or Notre Dame or some of the really great teams and great coaches we played against last year just had down years. And then the way it worked out for us, we had a great team, but we were beating people by 20 every night. Here, our schedule is so much, more difficult. So obviously, again, we are excited about the opportunity to play. I think the number one reason is this: the only 5-star on my team is a freshman. Tahad Paradifor is a freshman. Every freshman has got something to prove because it's done a body of work. So Tahad, every night, and he's an undersized freshman. He's a 5'11" freshman. Okay, so he wasn't recruited by the best teams in the country, even though the guys that the best teams in the country have were guys he's played against his whole life, but they were 3 or 4 inches taller than him. And he was as good as they were, and he's proving it. So he's got a chip on his shoulder. And then the rest of our team, we're all 3 and 4 stars. We're mutts. And Mutt's got something to prove.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of Mutt, and I actually was going to lead with this, but we kind of went in a different direction. Johni Broome, is this guy, are you guys going to have scientists study this guy after the season's over? I mean, separates a shoulder, doesn't miss a game. It's fine to say now, but I was watching live during the South Carolina game and was horrified at what it could be. Misses essentially 8-9 days of practice and is ready to go and has 16-12 against Tennessee. You can take that wherever you want, but this kid just continues to amaze me.
He is. He really is. He's something else. Great family. Great pride. He represents the name in the front of his jersey as well as the back of his jersey. That matters to him. That Broome name matters to him. And he goes out there and represents his family every time. And Auburn matters to him. Auburn gave him the opportunity of a lifetime, and he just goes to work every day rewarding Auburn for getting him out of the OVC and getting him in the SEC. And He likes his teammates. He's really been a good leader for us this year. He really has. He's done a great job in his relationships in the locker room, and he likes to win and he hates to lose.
I know,
and he's worked at his game too. He's really worked at his game. I mean, he's got a great trainer. He's got great representation. He's just training like a pro.
I'll say this. We had last March, Preston Spradlin, who coached him at Morehead State on, and said the same things you did, coached him for 2-3 years, whatever it was at Morehead, sent him off to you guys. And I mean, he had a picture of Johni cutting down a net in the OVC right behind him. And
look, we have Bible study. We have Bible study a couple days a week with our guys, and you could absolutely see why the National Player of the Year, he might be too busy, to be there. He's not too busy. He's there every single time, and he helps lead. And I think when you do things like that, and you do things that God might bless, it just puts you in a position to be blessed. I don't think you do it for the blessing, but it makes a real statement when your best player shows up to stuff like that. First guy in line to sign autograph for kids. First guy in line when we got to do some sort of community service. I think that stuff resonates.
Let me ask you, you mentioned what I wanted to ask, and I don't want this to sound disparaging to anybody else, but if I had a one-man vote right now, he's my National Player of the Year. I know there's a lot of season left, all that. I felt like when he went down against South Carolina, there was this rush to assume that, he might not be back for a while, and we're going to give it to these other guys. I don't want you, I'm not trying to put you in a position where you say anything bad about anybody else, but to me, and the thing is, too, he plays his best in his biggest game. 16-12 on one ankle the other night. I think what do you have, 23-20 against Carolina, something like that. Was great against Purdue, on and on. I don't want to put you in a spot here, but he's the best player that I've seen in college basketball. Don't know if you agree, and don't know what you would say to people who might not agree with that statement.
Well, here's what I'd say. He certainly gets my vote. I've always believed that the best player on the best team should receive a Player of the Year award. And so I oftentimes don't necessarily vote for the best player, because saying who the best player is, Cooper Flagg could be the best player in college basketball. He's may go number one in the draft, so on and so forth. I don't think that's what National Player of the Year is. Johni Broome is look at the road traveled. Look at the work that's been done. Look at where he's at. Look at how much he means to our team. Look at what Auburn's doing. And so against the schedule, we're doing it. Now, the difference between us and Duke, are that, and this is not a knock at all on Duke or the ACC, but they might not lose again. That win at Wake Forest, that's going to be the toughest road game they have in the ACC, maybe. And so, and we're going to lose. I mean, Auburn is going to lose. We're going to get knocked out of number one at some point. We're not going to continue to win these last possession games like we are. And so, as a result, though, okay, so then what happens? Does it change because we're not number one anymore? Well, I don't think it necessarily should. So, anyways, he certainly gets my vote.
Really quick, couple more, because I know you're tight on time here. The first one is you mentioned the schedule. And you mentioned, by the way, you couldn't get a quad one win last year just because of the way things broke. You got 11 right now. I believe only one other team has more than 6. I think you knew the schedule was going to be good when it came together in the spring. I'm guessing you probably didn't know it would be quite that good. But what even just went into the makeup of the decision-making to not only go to Maui, but then you got Duke on the road, and I know some of these things you have to do with the SEC and stuff, but just a banana schedule, and you guys, like you said earlier, rise to the challenge every time. And, oh, by the way, there's a lot more coming in the SEC.
Well, I'm 64 years old, and I'm not buying green bananas. So bottom line is, let's do it while you can and when you can. It sends your players a message. We've always scheduled tough, but the analytics say it doesn't really hurt you to schedule really tough games. And it tells your players, this is what I expect of you. I'm just happy that my guy, look, it was an honor to go play at Cameron Indoor Stadium against Duke. I'm sorry, but that was an honor for me as a basketball coach. And I think it was in some ways an honor to play against Duke and that great team. You just watch that game. Like, I'll tell you what, 2 games that have been the most physical games we played this year, Houston and Tennessee. Won them both close. Kelvin Sampson, Rick Barnes, those two, nobody does it better than those 2 guys, period. There wasn't 1 ounce of animosity in the game against Tennessee. There wasn't a dirty play. There was hard physical play. the players respected each other, the coaches respected each other. We recognized how difficult a game it was to call, and that was what made it, such a great win for us. We were obviously very, very fortunate to get that one, but that's the way it's supposed to be.
Last one for me, you mentioned being 64 years old. Don't mean to date you in any way, shape, or form, but I was thinking about this, just leading into this interview is, there's a lot of guys maybe a few years older than you deciding to get out of the sport. I know there's probably certainly things that you're frustrated by with the state of things, but I don't hear a lot of complaints. It seems like you're really enjoying yourself. Maybe having the number one team in the country and 18-1 or 19-1 helps, but like, it doesn't feel like you're one of these guys that's like a 3-game losing streak away from being reconsidering. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it seems like you're having fun. I just tell me if I'm wrong. So
no, we're having fun. I mean, look at, like you said, we're 18-1. It's a lot easier to have fun, when you're experiencing that. I like my team. I love my coaches and I love my team. So, it's we're in a good spot, and the ability to adjust. I'm big on making history. And it's easier to get it going than it is to keep it going.
Sure.
So it was easier to get this thing going at Auburn than it is to keep this thing going at Auburn. That's what I really want to try to do. Look, for me, as long as I can continue to not let my coaches and my players down. In other words, if I can do my job effectively enough where I'm not letting them down, I owe my coaches a great deal. I owe my players the very best I'm capable of. And as long as I'm allowing us to be competitive and doing my job, I'll keep coaching.
Bruce Pearl, number one Auburn Tigers, go on the road Wednesday to LSU. Again, know you're busy. Just crazy schedule, crazy season, man. I always appreciate you making a few minutes. I know it's a crazy time, and we'll talk down the road at some point. I know you're a busy man, but I always appreciate the time.
Aaron, thanks. You do a great job, and I'm happy to be with you. War Eagle.